Judith Maria and welcome to SG Global News. From the latest development in Charlie Kirk assassination investigation, authorities have identified 22-year-old Tyler Robinson as the prime suspect to the creative use of Lego animation in spreading the gospel across Latin America. We have many stories to cover. The suspect in the assassination of conservative activist Charlie Kirk has been identified as 22-year-old Tyler Robinson, a Utah resident. According to 5 law enforcement officials, Robinson is believed to be responsible for the fatal shooting. U.S. President Donald Trump confirmed that the suspect has been taken into custody. Reports indicate that it was Robinson's father who alerted authorities and turned him in.
U.S. investigators on Thursday released security photos and video of a person of interest in the fatal shooting of conservative activist Charlie Kirk at Utah Valley University in Orem, Utah. Officials said a high-powered bolt-action rifle, believed to be the weapon used in the killing, was recovered near the campus. Authorities said Kirk, 31, was shot on Wednesday while speaking to an outdoor audience of about 3,000 people. He was answering a question about mass shootings when a bullet struck his neck. Utah Governor Spencer Cox described the case as urgent and appealed for public assistance. The FBI announced a $100 reward for information leading to the suspect's arrest. Images showed a slender young man in a black top with bald eagle motif, a black cap, and Converse shoe. Officials said the individual was seen climbing onto a rooftop before the gunfire and later fleeing into the nearby woods. Utah Department of Public Safety Commissioner Bo Mason said investigators collected palm prints and DNA from the building. He added that investigators had already received more than 7,000 tips and conducted over 200 interviews. President Donald Trump called the killing a heinous assassination and said investigators were making big progress, according to Reuters.
The nation is mourning the sudden loss of conservative leader Charlie Kirk, who was killed earlier this week in Utah. On Thursday, a solemn return to his home state unfolded with the U.S. Vice President and wife escorting him. The tragedy has sparked both grief and national attention as leaders and the loved ones reflect on his life and legacy.
Charlie Kirk's casket was flown back home to Arizona aboard Air Force Two on Thursday evening. Vice President J.D. Vance and his wife Usha had traveled to Salt Lake City, Utah, where they met with Kirk's family following his fatal shooting during a student-sponsored event at Utah Valley University. Kirk was just 31 years old and is survived by his wife Erica and their 2 children. He was about 20 minutes into a Turning Point USA event at the university when he was shot in the neck. Although he was rushed to the hospital and underwent emergency surgery, doctors were unable to save his life. Vice President Vance mourned the death of his friend and close ally in a heartfelt tribute on X. According to his post, their friendship began in 2017 when Vance first appeared on Fox News. Vance shared that Kirk was among the first to know about his Senate bid and that he helped him shape a strategy, build connections, and launch his campaign. That relationship continued through the vice presidential election, with Kirk frequently checking in on Vance's family during that transitional period. Vance also recalled Kirk's deep faith and love for Jesus Christ, adding that Kirk's willingness to speak openly and debate ideas embodied a foundational virtue of the Republic. The bond between the two men was visible as Vance personally escorted Kirk's casket onto Air Force Two. Erica Kirk, visibly distressed, stood on the tarmac in Salt Lake City as the flag-draped casket was carried by a military pallbearer detail. When the flight landed in Phoenix, Erica was seen disembarking the plane with her 2 children, supported by OSHA vans. A video later surfaced showing Phoenix Air Traffic Control sending a tribute message as Kirk's casket returned to Arizona.
South 1555 Phoenix Air, wind 2409, runway 26, clear line. Clear line 26, Southwest 1555.
Welcome home, Charlie. You didn't deserve it. May God bless your family.
President Donald Trump announced on Thursday that he will posthumously award Charlie Kirk the Presidential Medal of Freedom.
Before we begin, let me express the horror and grief so many Americans at the heinous assassination of Charlie Kirk have felt. Charlie was a giant of his generation, a champion of liberty, and an inspiration to millions and millions of people. Our prayers are with his wonderful wife, Eric, and his beautiful children. Fantastic people they are. We miss him greatly, yet I have no doubt that Charlie's voice and the courage he put into the hearts of countless people, especially young people, will live on. I'm pleased to announce that I will soon be awarding Charlie Kirk posthumously the Presidential Medal of Freedom. The date of the ceremony will be announced, and I can only guarantee you one thing, that we will have a very big crowd. Very, very big.
He also ordered flags to be flown at half-staff through Sunday, September 14th in Kirk's honor, and confirmed that he will attend Kirk's funeral, expected to take place this weekend. Meanwhile, a manhunt is underway for the suspect in Kirk's assassination. FBI officials in Salt Lake City have announced a $100,000 reward for information leading to the identification of the shooter, who remains at large.
3 days after Christian activist Charlie Kirk's death, Christians nationwide mourn the loss of the Turning Point USA founder. Makeshift memorials adorn TPUSA offices, while colleagues like Texas A&M hold vigils, tributes, and extend to Spain and the UK. President Trump announced Kirk will receive Presidential Medal of Freedom posthumously.
72 hours passed after the shocking demise of Christian activist Charlie Kirk. Christians across the United States are still reeling from the loss of one of the most prominent voices of their generation. Shortly after news of Kirk's passing broke, the entrances of several Turning Point USA offices, the organization he founded, were transformed into makeshift memorials. Flowers, handwritten notes, and tributes from grieving supporters have continued to pour in, with mourners gathering daily to honor his memory. Colleagues nationwide, where Kirk had built much of his legacy as a conservative organizer, also paid their respects in various ways. At Texas and A&M University, hundreds of students assembled to mourn the man credited with reviving conservative activism on campuses. The outpouring of grief has not been limited to America. Vigils have also been held in Spain and the UK. In Europe, Swedish MEP Charlie Reimers called on the European Parliament to pause its proceedings in Kirk's honor, though the request was denied due to procedural reasons. In the United States, tributes reached the highest level of government. On Thursday, President Donald Trump announced that Kirk would be posthumously awarded the nation's highest civilian honor, the Presidential Medal of Freedom.
Nigeria continues to grapple with escalating violence as recent attacks by Fulani herdsmen have left communities in mourning and thousands displaced. In the early hours of Sunday, September 7th, Fulani herdsmen launched a deadly assault on 2 villages in Kaduna State, northwest Nigeria, killing 8 Christians and injuring 9 others. In the early hours of September 7th, Fulani herdsmen carried out deadly assaults on 2 predominantly Christian villages in Kaduna State, northwest Nigeria, leaving 8 people dead and 9 others injured. The attacks, which targeted the Wake and Gadanji villages in Kachia County, occurred between 5 a.m. and 6 a.m. according to local sources. Timothy Kimbe, a resident of the area, described the incident as a tragic day for the Christian community. He said, "What a black Sunday for Kachia Christians. Violence has also escalated in neighboring Plateau State, where Fulani herders have reportedly attacked 11 villages in Kuanpan areas since late August. The attacks have resulted in the destruction of more than 30 homes and displacement of at least 300 Christians, according to local authorities. In response to the growing insecurity, Christopher Manship, chairman of the Kuanpan Local Government Council, convened a stakeholders meeting. Council spokesperson Dan and Cletus Silvanus urged residents to remain alert and report any suspicious activity. Joe Bukhar, a current member of the Plateau State House of Assembly, stated that lawmakers addressed the deteriorating security conditions in Kuanpan during the September 4th session. The Assembly urged federal authorities to intervene promptly and decisively. The Plateau State Legislature has also appealed to the Plateau State Emergency Management Agency to carry out an immediate assessment of the affected areas and provide necessary relief to victims. The clerk of the House has been directed to forward the resolution to top government officials, including the President, Senate President, Speaker of the House of Representatives, Chief of Defense Staff, and the Inspector General of Police. Christian leaders across Nigeria have raised alarms over what they describe as a targeted campaign to displace Christian communities in the Middle Belt region. They allege that the attacks by Fulani herdsmen are part of a broader strategy to seize land and impose Islamic dominance. The level of anti-Christian violence in Nigeria has reached the highest threshold as measured by World Watch List, a global monitoring group that tracks religious persecution. On September 11, 2025, Brazil's Supreme Federal Court convicted former President Jair Bolsonaro on 5 charges, including attempting a coup and leading an armed group in 4-1 ruling. Bolsonaro, under house arrest, was sentenced to 27 years in prison, while 7 co-conspirators received 15 to 21 years. Bolsonaro denied the charges and plans to appeal, with the US President Trump calling the trial a witch hunt. In a landmark legal decision on September 11, 2025, Brazil's Supreme Federal Court convicted former President Jair Bolsonaro for his role in an alleged attempt to overturn Brazil's 2022 presidential election results. A 5-member panel found him guilty on 5 charges, including plotting a coup, participating in an armed criminal organization, attempting to violently abolish democratic rule, and damaging protected government heritage. 4 of the 5 justices, Alexandre de Moraes, Flavino Dino, Carmen Lucia, and Cristiano Zanin, voted to convict. Justice Luis Fux dissented, arguing there was insufficient evidence on many counts. Bolsonaro has been sentenced to 27 years and 3 months imprisonment. Simultaneously, 7 of his alleged co-conspirators, including former ministers and military officers, also received sentences. Currently under house arrest, Bolsonaro has denied all wrongdoing and pledges to appeal the ruling. The case is historic. It marks the first time in Brazil's history that a former president has been convicted for seeking to undermine democratic institutions in this manner. In Chile, the Senate is preparing to vote on a controversial euthanasia bill after it cleared the Health Commission with a narrow 3-2 majority. The Episcopal Conference of Chile has strongly warned lawmakers against approving the measure, citing the sanctity of human life. Church leaders are urging senators to reject the bill, saying legalizing euthanasia would open doors to dangerous consequences for society.
The Standing Committee of the Episcopal Conference of Chile has issued a statement warning the Senate about the dangers of approving the euthanasia bill after the Health Commission of the Chilean Senate passed it with a 3-2 majority. The bill will now move to the full chamber for a vote. The Health Commission approved the government-sponsored bill on September 9th. Prior to the vote, Commission members met with Cardinal Fernando Chumali, Archbishop of Santiago, and Bishop Juan Ignacio Gonzalez of San Bernardo, who presented the Catholic Church's official position against euthanasia. The Episcopal Conference's statement opens with the words of St. John Paul II, quote, "Euthanasia remains an inadmissible act, even in extreme cases, since it constitutes a grave violation of the law of God insofar as it is a deliberate and morally unacceptable elimination of a human person," end quote. The bishops warned that legalizing euthanasia could trigger a gradual expansion of acceptable cases, eventually leading to what they described as the medicine of desire, in which the value of life is judged by utility or personal choice. As the bill heads to the Senate floor, the bishops said they are counting on lawmakers to act with wisdom, safeguard the dignity of life, and ultimately reject the measure.
South Korea is grappling with a deepening suicide crisis that has drawn urgent attention from both government and faith-based groups. Catholic leaders are stepping forward with new initiatives to provide comfort, prevention, and hope. As the nation searches for answers, the Church's response is becoming an important part of the conversation.
As South Korea confronts its escalating suicide crisis, Catholic-led initiatives are intensifying efforts to support bereaved families, train activists, and educate youth. According to a March 2025 report by the Korea Foundation for Respect for Life and Hope, the Statistics Korea, an average of 40 people died by suicide daily in 2024, totaling 14,439 deaths. The church-run Suicide Prevention Center has organized initiatives such as the Respect for Life campaign, the Rosary Prayer campaign to convey comfort, and a fundraising campaign to help those with suicidal tendencies. Trained activists and artists also reach out through a mobile mental care program to meet individuals in crisis and to engage them in conversation and creative activities. According to Father Yuno Park, director of the Catholic Bioethics Research Institute in South Korea, existential vacuum, where a person feels a profound lack of meaning and purpose in life, is a major factor that leads to suicide. South Korea has the highest suicide rate among OECD nations. Some other factors driving the surge are undetected early warning signs, inadequate linkage to welfare services, growing societal acceptance of suicide, the lingering mental health impact of COVID-19, and financial instability.
Evangelization is finding fresh momentum among younger audiences through the creative use of Lego animation. What started as a small project in England during the pandemic has now grown beyond its roots, expanding into multiple languages with in particular focus on Spanish-speaking communities. Through its initiative, The Bible Brick by Brick, Go Charter Studios has launched a Spanish-language platform that presents Bible stories especially designed to engage children and youth. The wave of evangelization has discovered a fresh approach to connect with the younger audiences through Lego animation. Originally launched in England during the pandemic, the project is now growing internationally with a strong emphasis on reaching Spanish-speaking communities. Go Charter Studios has introduced its Spanish-language platform through the project The Bible Brick by Brick, which brings Bible stories to life in a visually engaging and accessible format, particularly aimed at younger audiences. The resources are completely free and created to assist churches, ministries, schools, and organizations involved in evangelism and discipleship among children and teens, though many adults find the Lego-based concept equally enjoyable. Max Albanos, current Spanish representative of Go Charter Studios, recalled about his time on the missionary ship Logos Hope. The journey took him to the United Kingdom, where he discovered the ministry. The creative force behind the animation is 21-year-old Joshua Whitehouse from the UK. A lifelong Lego enthusiast, he started making stop-motion videos during the pandemic. His first project, a Bible story created for his mother's Sunday school class, led to a connection with Go Charter. After a life-threatening battle with malaria prompted him to reevaluate his priorities, Joshua chose to fully dedicate his creative gifts to Christ. This decision led to a formation of Go Charter Studios, now an independent organization providing free faith-based content. Despite the growth, they are also facing significant challenges. Adapting resources to the Latin American context, the lack of institutional agreements, and technical limitations in many churches make expansion more difficult in Spain than in the UK. With the videos that combine humor, creativity, and biblical faithfulness, Go Chatter Studio seeks to bring millions of Spanish speakers to the same table by removing the barrier so that message can get through. That's all for today. Until we meet again, God bless and thank you.